The boundless airspace was suddenly broken. Yes, the person who came was Lin. Zhao was also slightly surprised. Asked him how he got in, but the answer surprised him. Lin just glared at the airspace and it got open. He was about to step forward to help Zhao, give Zhao a helping hand, but he was suddenly stopped by a knife. Zhao says, "You little brat should stay aside." Lin stared at him with eyes wide open in disbelief. After activating the power of the angels, Lin already sees that Zhao's internal organs have all been ruptured. In other words, now Zhao may die at any time. I'll chop him again. After this chop, it's not too late for you to help me. You better watch carefully on my next move, boy. Because this strike will be very cool. The Forbidden Realm rose again, Dark Moon. The head of the ghost-faced king flies away directly. The body and head is separated. Zhao, who had exhausted his last bit of strength, also fell to the ground. Lin hurried over to help him up. Knowing that he would die if he used up the Forbidden Realm, Zhao still pointed his sword at the abyss. This is the Night Watchman. Then Lin lit a cigarette for him. Zhao pretends to be calm and composed, showing off to Lin. The Ghost King, who couldn't even be defeated by the captain, have been defeated by me. Such a great achievement. If I survives, I can become a general at least. Lin also agreed. He hasn't even become a general yet. How could he die? Then Zhao asked if the strike I just used was handsome. At this time, Lin was not stingy with his praise. After receiving Lin's affirmation, the cigarette butt that had just been lit fell to the ground. Swearing to be the Night Watchman, General Zhao fell. However, the head of the ghost-faced king that had just been chopped off, suddenly making a gurgling sound. Suddenly, 6 sharp claws appeared. It's a pity that you didn't read the God Slaying. You don't know what Zhao said when the dark night falls. I will stand before countless others. Draw your sword towards the abyss, and let the sky stain with blood. However, this magnificent sentence must be infused with blood. Zhao fought alone with the Ghost-faced King in the boundless airspace to protect Lin's family. He knew he was no match for him, but he was unwilling to give in. Until the last blow perished together with the body of the Ghost-faced King. When Lin arrived, Zhao was already exhausted. Lin thought the battle was over, but Lin didn't he expect. The original Ghost-faced King had suddenly mutated. He controlled his body and stood up again. Lin put down Zhao's hand, took the tightly grasped Night Watch emblem, told him that I am the type of the person that I can't afford to owe others a favor. You protected my world, and what can I do for you? Turning to look at the resurrected Ghost-faced King, Lin directly cast Story Night Warrior. Avoid the tentacle attack. Raise the blade in your hand, stabbing towards the core of the demon. The angry Lin kept swinging his knife until the core of the demon was shattered into slag, lost all vitality. But Lin still refused to stop striking, even at the cost of a lot of mental energy. Activate the power of the Suroff. Let the Ghost-faced King burn to ashes. The battle is over. Only billowing smoke remains. Lin looking at Zhao lying in a pool of blood with admiration. In this life, he only feels guilty towards 2 people. The aunt who has been running around for him for 10 years, and the cousin who has been a burden to him for 10 years. And now, but you saved our family of 3. You saved my whole world. In exchange, I will protect your world for 10 years. At this time, Hong Ying and others who came to support also arrived. But when they saw Zhao carried by Lin, they were shocked. They couldn't believe what they saw. Junior Lin sends General Zhao home in triumph. The old city is still running smoothly in the night rain, as if nothing happened. But the place where Lin sits on the dining table is still empty. Aunt Lin's is full of worries, seeing Lin running out of the house in a hurry just now, fearing that something might happen. At this time, the cousin sat next to her, said, "Don't worry, Lin will be fine. Maybe my cousin has grown up. You have your own business, right?" The comforted aunt couldn't help but smile bitterly. The funeral was held the next day. Lin was called to the night watcher's office. The night watch team in this area has gathered together. Lin also recounted the story again about the entire process of Zhao's fight to the death with the Demon King, and emphasized the last blow that Zhao swung with all his strength. That was a silvery white crescent. The people around him couldn't help but get curious. Didn't they say that there were no forbidden realms in Zhao? The Night Watcher captain also stood up excitedly at this time. Zhao used the Night Watcher emblem. It triggered his own forbidden realm, the Dark Moon. When Kimo was shocked and said that the Dark Moon is its sequence 083. That's a highly dangerous forbidden realm. I didn't expect Uncle Zhao to be right when he awakened the forbidden realm. I guess even he didn't expect it. Always boasted in front of everyone when he was alive. If I had a restricted area, I would be the coolest one. Now he has finally gotten what he wanted. Seeing the atmosphere was so low, the captain hurriedly changed the topic. Let Lin, who had just entered the room, get to know everyone first. From the assault vanguard Hong Ying to the support of Sifeng when Kimo and the long-range support Lang Zhuan, then to the combat assistant and military Dr. Si Xiaonan. At this time, the troops suddenly raised another question: where the Ghost Face King fought. There are obvious signs of burning. And how did you enter the boundless airspace? After this disaster, Lin decided to join the Night Watch. But he was questioned by the deputy captain, Wu Xiangnan. When talking about the duel between Zhao and the Ghost Face King, one thing was overlooked. That is how Lin entered the boundless airspace. But Lin's answer shocked them. He simply glared at the airspace realm. The boundless airspace opened up by itself. Vice Captain Wu Xiangnan was about to ask again, but was interrupted by the captain beside him. Lin had rejected all the invitations before. Why do you suddenly want to join the Night's Watch now? And Lin said he was here to fulfill his previous agreement with Zhao. He will join the Night Watch for 10 years. He will leave after 10 years. The deputy team leader at the side said at this time, the Night Watch is not a community volunteer. Whether you can leave at that time depends on your ability. For Lin, who has a cheat, it's not a question of whether you can, but a question of whether you want to. Seeing Lin so arrogant, the captain also showed a kind smile. Then he submitted an application to join and said that training would start in a month. It is worth mentioning that the Night Watch is semi-military. Everyone must undergo 2.5 years of intensive training before officially joining. Learn fighting skills. Skills such as firearms tactics and the use of forbidden realms. Strict training is just what Lin wants. But the treatment during the internship period made him very entangled. Because this place does not provide food and accommodation. Just when he was about to fight for himself, the big sister Hong Ying stood up. She directly said that she would support Lin, and she patted her chest and promised Lin, as a comrade, I will definitely protect her in the future. This happiness came suddenly. Instead, I feel like a gigolo. As he said this, when Kimo was about to enthusiastically take Lin to get familiar with the environment, but he had only walked a few steps with Lin. Her face suddenly became serious. Said she wanted to ask him for a favor. Turned around and hugged Lin. Excitedly asked him if he could go live with her at Hong Ying's house. This series of actions made Lin stunned, seeing that her purpose was too obvious. Jokingly said it was a joke, telling Lin not to be so nervous. In Lin's opinion, this guy must be up to something. When Lin went up the stairs, Lin asked why the night watchman. There are only 6 people here. Before I came here, I thought the night watchmen were just shooting planes. A huge organization, like driving a tank. Like shooting planes and driving a tank. It is centralized, militarized management. Too limited. If Kangnan City is attacked, it will take at least 2 days for the military base to support it. And many people will die in these 2 days. The Night Watch will take the most efficient solution. In every city, each team is stationed with a Night Watch team. And each team is balanced. From the captain to the team members, each has their own strengths. When there is a trace of a mythical creature in the city, you can directly start the investigation at the fastest speed. Team 136 is the team stationed in Kangnan City. At this time, when Chemo brought up another topic that shocked Lin for 100 years. That is, when encountering a problem that even the Night Watchmen cannot solve, then they'll invite another group of people. They are the ceiling of the Night Watch, called 5 stars. They are 1 sword, 1 wonder, 1 master, 1 monk, and 1 void. Lin is raised by the elder sister of the Lin family. Lin thought it was a matter of having more rooms in the house. But Lin didn't expect that they all lived in luxurious villas. Just now, Lin found this place by following the address. When he saw the house, he then remembered that Hong Ying had told him that her house was quite big. As soon as he saw Lin coming, Hong Ying hurried downstairs wearing bunny slippers, leading Lin into the house. And by the way, she arranged for him to wear the same bunny slippers for couples. At this time, Si Xiaonan, who heard the sound, also slowly went downstairs. Lin saw this situation. Wow, buy 1 get 1 free. No wonder when Chemo insisted on living with him. The 3 of them walked upstairs. Hong Ying assigned a room to Lin. This made Lin feel embarrassed, thinking, should I say hello to my uncle and aunt first? But Lin was met with a cold shoulder the moment I turned around. It turns out that Hong Ying's parents were members of the expedition team, disappeared while on a mission 5 years ago. Seeing this situation, Lin really wanted to slap himself in the face. Opened the door. In a blink of an eye, he came to the 2nd floor. A clean and tidy bedroom came into view. Lin will live here from now on. But she turned her head and emphasized, if you want to enter their room in the future, you must knock on the door first. And threatened, if she finds out that Lin dares to have any evil intentions, he will be in danger of losing his life. By the way, show it to Lin. Her bulging biceps. Lin has been away from home for so long. How can he still think about these things? Then he borrowed paper and pen from Hong Ying, the captain, and when Chemo came to the old city, rang the doorbell. And it was Lin's aunt who opened the door. Thought it was Lin who came back. Hurriedly opened the door to greet him. But what I heard was Lin's enlistment notice. This time, the captain and when Chemo came on behalf of the Kangnan military. Originally, Lin's aunt didn't believe it, because I had never heard Lin mention it before. The moment she saw the letter, the tears had soaked the paper in his hand. And the cousin who was playing with Xiaohai Lai suddenly spoke. Lin had privately mentioned his past military service to him. It's just that his eyes had never recovered before, so he temporarily gave up this dream. Lin's aunt was worried about Lin, whose eyes had just recovered. He must not make any mistakes. The clever Wen Chemo also used a white lie at this time. Help Aunt Lin dispel her worries. After that, the captain took out Lin's military subsidy, put it on the table. But when she saw so many subsidies, Lin's aunt was a little surprised. She grabbed Wen Chemo's hand, asked Lin, Is he doing any dangerous missions? And when Chemo did as he said before. Calm down, Lynn's aunt. Until the afternoon. The two of them slowly came out of the community. At this time, Lynn was already waiting for them here. The reason why the captain and when Chemo did this, it turned out that they were all commissioned by Lynn. Just to reassure Lynn's aunt, a thick stack of enlistment subsidies. He asked the captain for a year's salary in advance. But for the frugal Mr. Lynn, 1 year is nothing. Seeing that this guy is so sensible, the captain also told Mr. Lynchie that he can come to the office for free meals in the future, although the treatment does not include food and accommodation. But the captain personally cooks for them. Although everyone understands, it also warms Lynn's heart. After the captain and when Chemo drove away, Lynn called his aunt. As expected, he was scolded by his aunt. Lynn could only keep apologizing to his aunt in order to ask for forgiveness. In the dream, Lynn came to the mental hospital. At this time, Nix was swinging leisurely by himself. When he saw that the person coming was Lynn, he also greeted him happily. After all, in Nix's eyes, he is still the eldest son Danabi. Starting from the progress of treatment, Lynn would come to feed her every day. Nix also ate the medicine given to her as candy beans. Turning her head to look at the depressed Lynn, this made her curious. Then she handed him a glass of water, asked with concern if there was anything on his mind. Facing Nix, Lynn also threw himself into the role of a son. Nix was about to give Lynn a gift. When she reached out her hand, she found that her bracelet was missing. Anxiously looking for it. Not only did Lynn sigh, after a while, she seemed to remember that the bracelet was taken away by someone. This made Lynn feel surprised. She even took out the power of myth from her pocket, asking which god led her away. But Nix's answer shocked him. It was not a god who led her bracelet away. It was someone like Lynn. That means someone else had been here before he came. Been here. He has one. Nix is a god. The monster in front of him wanted to break through the cage and attack the man. But the man only gave him a look. And the Ghostface King was so scared that he trembled. Because at this moment, only the soul of the monster is left alive. And the body has long been killed by Lynn. Just now, Nix told Lynn a secret unknown to others. In fact, someone had come to the mental hospital 5 years ago. When Lynn knocked on the door at that time, that person was just upstairs. And in Nix's memory, that person was still a little girl of 12 or 13 years old. Although I don't remember the girl's name, but we only know her last name is G, and she left something for her in the dean's office. After Lynn searched hard, finally, he found a letter under the table. Lynn looked at the letter in his hand. Can't help but complain that the handwriting is really ugly. The letter also clearly told Lynn she is just a passer-by. The real owner here is still Lynn. As for Nix's bracelet, she just borrowed it temporarily. I'll return it to him later. And tell Lynn, under this office. In fact, there is another space, and the entrance is under the carpet in the room. When he walked down the stairs, but he found that this was actually a prison cell. After walking a few steps inside, he was stunned. He saw the Ghostface King, who had been killed by him long ago. At this time, he was sitting on the bed in the dungeon. Just when Lynn was still curious, why is he here? The system panel pops up suddenly. Ghostface King. As a mythical creature killed by him, he will have the right to judge the soul of the Ghostface King. And now Lynn has two choices. One is to directly wipe out his soul. The other is to make the Ghostface King get the fear value of himself to 60, then can be hired as a hospital nurse. For Lynn, In addition to the 6 mysterious patients in the mental hospital, he also has the ability to take souls. Any mythical creature killed by him will be imprisoned here. As the representative of the Chinese class, Lin carefully discovered a little secret. Did the mythical creatures mentioned here include gods? And what should we do with this ghost-faced king now? This guy is very capable. It might be a good choice to let him be the caregiver, but you are not welcome in my mental hospital. Then he crushed the Ghost King's soul. After dealing with the ghost,